We are at the Modzu Studios at the Smart Computer Store with special guest Randy.
Hello.
Who served our country in Afghanistan. Thank you, Randy.
Please pay your taxes. It means a lot to me.
Me too.
So today we're looking at the Fractal Design Define S Nano.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jesse, aka Captain CurrySauce, and with me today, after such a long time, is
Mosquito, also known as Chris. It's cabin season. What can I say?
yes. So today we are here to look at
Define Nano S, the smaller version of the Define S.
Yes.
So as you can see, this one comes with a window, but you can also get one for slightly cheaper that comes with a solid side panel. So if you don't want that window and you want to put your own window in, you might want to go the solid side panel route. Save a little bit of money that way, and then you don't have to be stuck with this sized and shaped hole in the side panel. So we'll get rid of that.
Oh, look at that!
Not mine.
Beverage not included with purchase. Keep in mind.
Well, it could be. I don't know.
Well, you'll have to buy it yourself. So very similar layout inside compared to the Define S.
It looks like, I mean, it's pretty much the exact same layout, just not as tall and probably not as long.
I hope so. So it looks like it comes with two fans, 140 mil in the front and 120 in the back, and they also look like the newer fans.
Yep. I'm assuming most of Fractal's cases are going to come with those now.
Yep, I hope so too.
I don't remember what their actual numbers are.
Yep.
I can't read this side from over here, but...
So here's a little interesting tidbit about this case, which most of you probably don't know, but there is monkey DNA in this case.
In a good way.
And I would let Chris explain that one. So Chris, take it.
I plead the fifth. I didn't do it. Well,
I was there, he did.
Well, I think if I remember...
him spread his seed?
Yes.
So these brackets are for mounting up in the case here. And what you do is you put screws in from the back side, and you can put these in these outside slots here. And so that allows you to position them anywhere in these slots, just like the Define S.
Yep.
And then, as you can see, they have these horizontal slots in them. So what you can do with that is mount your reservoir to it, or your pump if you have the right kind of pump mounting bracket. And then with this being slotted this way, you can then move your reservoir or pump forward and backwards however you want on that bracket. And then you can also position it vertically wherever you want. So it's kind of like an XY axis on something like a CNC, where you can put it pretty much wherever you want it.
Yes.
Which is really kind of nice. Or you can skip it altogether and just use the slots that are in the side panel.
So this idea is courtesy of our own Chris, aka Mosquito. Yes. Once he bites, yeah. So the top of the case has your I/O, so you get the two USB 3, and I'm so glad to see that Fractal is using black inlays for it, because blues, yeah, they tell you it's USB 3, but kind of looks out of place.
The 3.0,
3.0
tells you it's 3s.
Yes. You get a big power button, so if you have a cat, watch out.
Yeah.
A reset button right next to it, and then you get your microphone and headphone jacks right there. And this is where the power LED is.
And it's blue.
And it's blue.
Yep.
Yes.
Did we ever figure out, I know we mentioned it in the Define S video, but we were pretty sure that it was a similar Fractal design where it's got the blue power LED
Yes.
and a red hard drive activity LED.
Yes.
So when the hard drive turns on, it turns purple.
Yes.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Just,
Purple rain, people.
there you go.
So take the front panel off, just stick your hand underneath.
Not that part.
Well, that's the filter. I was testing you. But right there. The front panel comes off, and it has some sound dampening material on it, so which is a nice touch. I like to see that. And it is a nice, feels like a nice, good quality plastic. It doesn't feel like cheap stuff.
Yeah, and this is plastic, even though it looks like it might be black anodized aluminum, but it is just a brushed plastic, so not aluminum, but makes it moddable. You just gotta get rid of that.
Yes. You also get.
want to do that?
You also get a
Or
nice. Yeah, you also get a nice magnetic filter in the front, so you got 2 magnets and a little cutout there or a little tab there to let you swing it out as needed. Which, if you ask me, is a really nice touch. I love cases that have good filtration out of the box.
Something that's kind of interesting is, I wonder why they went with that sort of a design where it's all like angled down.
Yeah.
Because I almost want to be able to turn it around and put it on the other way, even though it really doesn't matter.
You try it, see if there's a difference.
Maybe that.
No, I mean just but there's no mounting for it. I just meant, you know.
Well, the only thing I can think of is maybe this would help direct the airflow up, so that you can.
Just because it's implying that the airflow is coming from the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're drawing air from the sides and the bottom. So, but like Chris said, one of the first things if I had this case do is do a nice cutout in the front with a nice design and a fan grill, because
240.
240 minimum, yes, or even a single 120. I would do something to add more airflow to it. But I love the way it ships from the factory. So anyways, with the cover off, you can see we have mounting for 140 mil fans, so you can put a couple 140 mil fans. Based on the looks, I think there's enough room to even put in a 280 AIO
Yes.
or a 280 radiator. And you have enough space, so you have mounting for 120 mil fans as well. Now keep in mind, if you're doing a water-cooled build in this one, make sure the products you buy or the reservoir you buy will not, or the radiator, you're not putting in a 60 millimeter thick radiator in this case, because then you will not have enough space for mounting a reservoir.
Unless you get creative.
So going to the back of the case, you can notice you only can install a 120 millimeter fan. Keep in mind this is an ITX. But the cool part is you can slide the fan up and down. There's a decent amount of room that's available, so you could install a radiator on the top, 120 mil. I would not go with a 140 base radiator on the top. So you have decent amount of room to do, a slim radiator with a set of fans.
Or even if you wanted to, if you had just a single 120 AIO, it would fit back there because of the extra space up here.
Yep.
You have a little bit of room, because I hate that. I've had cases before that have just a single mounting location.
Yes.
And then you can't fit the radiator because it dips down too low and it ends up hitting your card. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah. There's only 2, so if you get a card which is a 3-slot card, that's not gonna work with a power supply in. There's maybe a little bit of room.
Unless you have a water block for it, and then you just have to cut the bracket a little bit.
Yeah. Other thing I should mention is that I'm happy to see that these are captive thumb screws, which I like, because less things to lose.
And it's the kind that you can still easily take out too. If you wanted to paint your side panel, you can just back them out of there. But
Slowly, And again, more sound dampening. And if I'm correct, the version that comes with a solid side panel comes with sound dampening too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want to have a silent build, this is a great case for that.
What I wanted to show here was, if we put a fan in there, it's lower than the sides of that front panel. So if you had it mounted in here, we'll pretend, because I don't feel like actually putting it in place.
Leave it to a monkey to think of this.
Yes.
Push-pull config on radiators.
So basically, what I wanted to show
is that you have enough room to do push-pull.
Yep. So there's enough room in here. It gets stuck when you clamp it in the bottom. There you go. So it gets a little bit close to the front panel, but there is, probably about that much room between the front panel and the fan. So if you wanted to mount your fans outside the chassis, that either gives you room for push-pull or a thicker radiator, even thicker than this. This is what the standard GTX 240 Hardware Labs.
Get out a Dremel or a jigsaw and cut out a big opening in
on
that
the
front
front
bezel.
Yes.
Put some mesh in there, screen.
Yep. If you have a scroll saw, that works perfect too.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, if you're using a longer card, like, any card which is about 10 inches, which is the standard length of a card, then you will end up
you're
running
gonna run
into
into
issues with having a radiator in the front along with the pump. So in that case, what I would recommend is having the radiator, a slim radiator on the top or a 120 in the front, or go with what we call, or like I like to call them shorties, like the 970 short version.
Yeah.
EVGA has one, and Gigabyte just released a 1070
saw
shorty.
that.
Even though it's tall, so I don't know if anybody would make a water block for it.
Probably.
But another good example is the RX 480s. They are traditionally smaller cards, great, perfect for water cooled builds in a small case.
Or a Fury Nano, or no, an R9 Nano.
Oh yeah, even an R9, a standard R9, not a Strix, because Strix are for kids, and I'm a kid. And yes, I should clarify, I love PC gaming.
One of the nice things is that you can have this nice solid top panel if you want it to be quiet without having fans in the top, because that's insulated. But I would say these are almost even worse than the other Modu vents on the R5, because this was one solid panel, and you got to get like 4 of these little things off. So these are kind of a pain in the butt. Don't break them, but you have to basically squeeze these together and then pop it out of the slots that it mounts in. Because otherwise, I mean, if you just start pulling on it to try and pop them out, you'll probably end up breaking them.
Yeah.
I know, because we did. I think when we were reviewing the R5, we broke 2 of them.
Now, here I want to bring a company that I admire a lot, and no surprises for guessing, Fantex. Like on their P400S, one of the things that I really loved was they include a magnetic filter.
Mm-hmm.
So in case you remove, the panel off, the top panel off, because they have a similar design, and their panels are held by magnets and not clips, so they're easy to take off. But they include magnetic filters, because here, if you put just one fan on the top, it's just gonna look, you're leaving so much open space. And even if you you have room for 120 and a 140. So if you put a 140, bunch of 240 mil fans, you still have a good amount of room open for dust to just,
Land.
Yeah, pretty much.
Plus, I don't know what it is, but there's something about having this recess in the top that's always kind of bugged me.
Yes.
Like on any case that does that.
Yes.
It's just sort of like, it doesn't feel finished to me.
Agreed.
There's no reason for it.
I think what it is to reinforce the structure of it, to
Yes.
give it rigidity.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, because if you look at it,
Well,
because there's no drive cages.
Yeah, the bezel is not.
when
Yeah.
the Modu vent is in there, though, it does create the shape that's completely flat.
flush.
Right.
Yeah, it's flush. I mean,
And that's what I said. If they included a magnetic filter that would cover this whole thing,
That would be nice.
that would be nice, because then it would create the look that it's, a flush top. And then you can keep dust out too. So going to the back of the case. So a lot of cases nowadays are switching to a design where the motherboard tray area is kind of recessed more towards the back, because you technically are not, routing cables right there. And the front is pushed out, so you have more cable routing space. So I think there's a good, I would say, an inch of cable routing space, which is plenty for a small build.
Yeah.
For an ITX. Yeah.
ITX, and I'm a guy, I always recommend, if you can get a fully modular power supply,
Absolutely.
do that. If not, at least get a power supply where
Semi-modular.
semi-modular, where they have, don't have too many
Yeah.
things that are permanent.
Where all you have is the 24 pin and the
A CPU pin. maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe a.
Hit it, Mars.
All right. So on the back here, we also have their solution for mounting 3.5, or you can also mount a 2.5-inch drive on this panel. And these are kind of nice because you probably noticed we didn't have any drive bays on the inside. Not a drive bay. We'll get to that later. But yeah, so this is how you would mount your 3.5-inch drive. If you wanted to have a hard drive, you could mount that onto here and then just put that in here on these 2 slots. And then there's a nice thumb screw. Pretty easy to put in a drive and take it out if you want. Jesse has a question.
So, can I only do one 3.5 inch? Looks like it.
As far as I can tell, because there's no second slot for mounting that.
Other thing I want to mention is one of the things I like that case manufacturers are moving towards using Velcro
Yeah.
for, cable instead of having giving you cable ties. I love this look. It's nice and clean, and it adds a little bit of, branding. I think this is perfect. Is this for SSDs?
It is, and I like it. Because
Yes.
something I've complained about a lot is when you have the power connectors where the SATA is 90 degrees,
Yeah.
and you have a panel like this that's just straight
Flush,
mounted
yeah.
right here,
Yep.
and then you have to try and bend those wires because the wires are always the wrong way. So this one, since it's positioned in the cutout where the CPU backplate can be installed,
Yeah.
you don't have that problem, and
No.
that's really nice.
That's really nice, and that's really smart use of space.
It is, yeah.
I
You
like
know.
the fact that it's removable
Yes.
and not like a permanent fixture there, like we saw in like the Antec B50.
Oh yeah, true. So this is supposed to be. You can use this. I call this as a multi-mount. I don't know if Fractal has an official name for it.
It looks like Swiss cheese. Can we call it the Swiss mount?
Okay, Swiss mount. Because it looks like Swiss cheese. So you can use this for mounting pumps. Here's an example.
I don't know how this lines up. I haven't looked at that much yet, but basically it has a bunch of different holes in it for mounting different kinds of pumps. Whether it's a DDC, you can mount it at whichever kind of DDC pump it is. If it needs the 4 mounting screws from underneath, or if it has the 2 side, like
Yep. Or you can lay a laying DDC.
Low profile.
Yep, low profile. I kind of like these better, only because they take less space and look cleaner. But again, that's just personal opinion. But let's say you don't like the position where the pump is, or if it's not lining up. If you flip the case, you notice there's 4 screws that hold that plate. So you can loosen those screws, or you can take those screws out and take the plate completely out if you're not going to use it. Or you can just slide it around. There's a little bit of leeway you have, or you can take the screws out and move it to a completely different set of rails. So there's some options you have to move around. The other thing I kind of like is the bottom is pretty much all open, so you have decent amount of ventilation. And I know one of the things I did accidentally was pull out the bottom filter. So here's the bottom filter. What I like about this is it actually covers the complete case.
and it comes out from the front.
Yes, which is really good.
It's like the Silverstone that I reviewed
Mhm.
had a nice mesh filter that covered the entire thing, but it meant you had to get your computer like 3 feet from the wall in order to pull it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. And that was kind of sad because the version before had the front.
Yep.
But anyways, this is something I like because you don't have two filters or multiple filters. You just have one filter that comes out of the front.
And it's easy.
It's easy.
I hate those soft mesh ones that you got to try and fit
yeah.
inside the
Screen?
things,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
like take it out once, throw it away. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah. While we're at the bottom, I would like to talk about the feet. One thing I always like about Fractal is they always use good-looking feet on their cases. You know, chrome finish. I'm pretty sure this is plastic, but it has a nice chrome finish to it.
Yep.
So it looks, like a high-quality product.
And one thing to keep in mind if you wanted to mod it and change the feet is that these are also part of what holds this mesh filter in. So just be aware of that. That if
There's
you
a notch in the side.
Yes, there's a notch. Yes. So if you look right here, see how that's cut out?
So that's something to keep in mind if you do want to go with bigger or custom feet. Is
Yes.
either you're gonna have to mod that into them, do it, or just skip it all together.
If you remove the rubber insert, there's a screw that holds the feet on.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
So you could use a smaller diameter
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah,
No.
it'd have to be smaller. If it was larger, you'd have to
Yeah.
Yes.
do some more modding.
Now, other little thing that I just noticed and I like is the serial number sticker is at the bottom of the case. Unlike a lot of cases where it's
right on
right
the
in the back.
Ooh.
Again, it's a very little thing, but I think this way you have a much cleaner bill.
Good call.
And
You
I
know?
think that's one of the things that I think they've listened about.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you'll also notice nowhere on the outside of this case does it say Fractal Design anywhere. Like
Yeah.
not even on the front panel. The only place that you have it is if you remove that front panel, you have it here, and then you also have it on the drive tray for the SSD.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's stamped on the inside in a couple places,
Yeah.
but that's it. It's when you have it all put together, it's not screaming who made it in your face. So that's kind of nice because it's nice when what you have is a clean design.
So we've got some hardware installed. The basics.
Yes.
Big GPU.
The bare minimums. I mean, you can't go if you're going any smaller than this in your Define S. I don't
Yeah.
know what your problem.
I mean, you can't call yourself a PC gamer.
Just kidding. We are kidding. This is a GTX 1070.
Yep.
I think right.
Founders
Yes.
Edition.
The one that looks like a Lamborghini.
Yes.
Anyway, and then we also have a Gigabyte ITX board, the Z170N Gaming, which is a pretty nice looking board.
Oh,
But
yeah.
as you can see, a lot of these grommets, or both of these grommets, I guess, are positioned on an angle,
Perfectly.
and they are right where you want to be.
On this board.
Yeah.
Some ITX boards are going to have the 24-pin connector in the top.
Yes, but there's something pretty limited. But there's still, you have decent amount of room on the top too.
Yeah.
So the point is, regardless of ITX hardware you use, there's decent amount of cable routing spaces you have. Now, one thing I'm looking at this, what I'm noticing is that with a GPU routing, you would probably have to come straight from the power supply.
Yep.
And this is where having ability to make custom cables will come in handy, because there's no point having a long, 200, 250 millimeter long standard cable length
Yeah.
to cover your GPU.
So yeah, everything gets a little bit close. So if your GPU has a lot of extra stuff hanging off the front of it, you might want to keep that in mind. But again,
Now,
that's
this is where I would like to point out, because I use my daily driver is the Fantex Evolve ITX, and I was using the Strix 980 Ti, and that is a heavy card, and it sags like an 80-year-old guy without Viagra. Okay?
Viagra?
Yes, Viagra. I mean, that's what that card needs. I'm no kidding. And the point is, what I do is, since that case has a GPU shroud, I use a small piece of tubing, clear tubing, to keep that card straight. But in a build like this, if you're using a heavy card, you will have sag, and that's an idea to keep in mind, that you could stick a piece of tubing right over your power supply to keep it straight. If
Or
not,
rubber grommet.
oh yeah, if not, this card will be touching a power supply if it was something else.
another idea actually that I just thought of. You could easily use some sort of a 90-degree bracket with one of these slots here.
Yes, that's true.
That could hold something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, you just go to,
Fractal. There's an idea right there.
There you go.
yeah, you just go to Menards, buy a little 90-degree angle for a couple cents.
Honestly, just
No
a
bracket.
Yeah.
just a rubber bumper, I bet.
Yeah.
Like a round one, and then you just put the bolt right
Yeah.
through here and
Yeah.
wherever it needs to be.
So multi-purpose slot.
Absolutely.
So
now-
this is kind of what we were talking about.
That's where you want the fans in the front bezel.
Yep.
Yes,
So if you have a big card,
big
You're
card
gonna-
with a small reservoir.
yeah.
And I think Bits Power is probably the only one that has the smallest.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that, I think, is going to be one of the limitations on this case, is if you go with a large graphics card,
Yes.
you're going to, I think, have to get pretty selective with your water cooling parts, because,
Yeah.
like Jesse said, a reservoir pump combo is probably going to be difficult in this
Yes.
situation.
Yes. I mean, if you look at a D5,
Yeah, I was going to say, even just the D5 might.
I mean, that
Cause
pump
problems.
alone is not going to fit in the
It's not
bottom,
gonna work.
or if
And
you
it
do anything
takes
in the
up all
top.
the
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
So this is where DDC comes in handy, and I
Yeah.
like it. And I know Bits Power has some really small ones. But again, this case, I think, even if you're going to use an all-in-one cooler, or one of those EK Predators or SwiftTech AIOs, 240 mil, I think you have enough space in the top or the front to install it and cool your CPU
Easily, yeah.
easily. And what I like about those AIOs is the fact they're technically using proper fittings. You could run hardline if you want to and give it a nice clean look.
That's true, and they also SwiftTech has their
Yeah.
pump water block combo too.
Yeah, yeah. So the point is, with a case like this, you do have options, and if you use what I like to call a shorty card, like a reference, not a reference, but like the
short.
EVGA 970s with a smaller PCB, or the reference RX480 that was just released a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Per today we're doing this on
July 1st.
July 1st. So, you know, the RX480, which is technically an 8-inch long card, and with an EK water block, you know, you open up a lot of room to install a proper reservoir
Yeah.
and a pump. So keep that in mind when you do this.
Hey, that looks like the nice high quality stuff.
Interesting. Is this art or a case review?
Oh yeah, can't forget your fan on the radiator here. Okay, so you know we're the Mod Zoo, and we only ever do full custom loops in our review builds. So
This is using special cordless power supply with wireless tech and a waterless water loop.
that's right.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps this one up.
Ta-da!
It's beautiful. Wait, hold on. If there's anything that I've learned over the years,
Oh, Mosquito dropped
yeah,
his phone.
it hit the rocks. The screen works fine, but here, gotta add lighting. Gotta have lighting when you're.
Yes, that is true.
There we go.
Oh.
Now we've
Can you hit
installed
these
it.
lights?
I think that has to be a work of art.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Lighting effects.
Ooh, strobe.
You don't get that out of RGB.
Technically, this build is RGB because there's like green.
green, there's red
There's
on the
colors. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this, go check out our other videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out themodzoo.com. Because if not, monkeys will throw the poo at you.